What is the most useless invention you have seen? So in my giant store, they have a robot that randomly turns on and rolls around the store looking for messes, and when it finds one it just stands there and does nothing. Just standing there waiting for someone to clean up the mess. Marty, ours creates an overhead announcement, but 99% of the time the mess is a fallen sales sticker or something equally innocuous. Supposedly it also scans shelves for general inventory insight, but unless the one camera is wide angle I don't believe that. Supposedly it also scans shelves for general inventory insight, but unless the one camera is wide angle I don't believe that. I went into a BevMO, and they had a trial helper robot at the front of the store. I was intrigued, so I asked it for help to find the beer I wanted. We went on a grand journey through the store, traveling an average of 0.0 miles per hour, stopping and backtracking whenever we came within 10 feet of a shopper, often doing it multiple times with the same shopper. Finally, we got to correct aisle. The robot stops and points to the shelf where my beer should be. It even shows me a live camera image of that shelf on its handy dandy digital display. It then wanders off on its own down the aisle. The beer I wanted used to be in that spot, but had been moved to aisles over a few weeks back. The scanner did take a picture of the shelf, but didn't have any damn idea what the picture meant. And I'm ashamed to admit, spent probably 5 minutes staring at this section of shelf trying to figure out where the hell on it my beer was. Is this seriously real? This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. Whatever that bracelet was that supposedly balanced one's guy. There's a US patent filed for a device that delivers babies through centrifugal force by spinning the mother in a circle. Yeetus fetus. I have been summoned. You often see this advertisement about the wristband that gives you electric shocks as a punishment if you try to break a bad habit, like smoking. This is called aversion therapy. Well, this electric shock wristband has no magical sensors to detect when you are doing what you want to stop, and you have to push a button to give you the electric shock. If you would just use rubber band around your wrist and let it slap on your wrist as a punishment, you would basically get the same result for a fraction of the price of the electric shock band. It'd have to be someone else giving you the shock. You seem stressed. Let me give you something to relax you bzzzzzzzzz. Wonder if at some point you'd begin to enjoy it. Like, oh, there's a cupcake. Time to get a little shock in. Last year for Christmas my insane aunt gave me a breakfast sandwich maker. I sold it before I used it, but the instructions made it look like you had to cook everything first, and then you insert the food in some slots, and it will stack them up to make a sandwich. Stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's like that glorified juice dispenser that got $100 million in funding and an endorsement from Google. The Juicero. $120 million actually. All it did was squeeze pre-packaged juice packets. A reporter doing some actual investigating squeezed one with his hands and got the same amount of juice in less time. Also it wouldn't squeeze if it didn't have an internet connection, because it needed to verify quarter codes on the packets didn't indicate expired juice. Expired, in their case meaning more than a week old. That also meant conveniently that only Juicero brand packets at $8 a pop for one glass of juice could be used in the press, because only they had the quarter codes. It also meant you might have to occasionally reset your Wi-Fi before you could drink juice. It sold for $700. They managed to limp along for 4 years before reality closed in. I really need to invent a product to sell to rich morons. Juicero. I still can't believe the founder compared himself with Steve Jobs. Lol. The craziest thing about the business model was that the $400 juice press machines were being sold at a massive loss. They were so over-engineered with machine gears that each press was easily over $1,000 to manufacture. The real goal was to sell subscriptions to the bags of juice. Just learned that. Watch the entire Avi YouTube video on their breakdown of one of these units. Crazy how over-engineering that thing was for such a simple action. Press a bag really hard. Saw Bluetooth dice on Kickstarter a few days ago. What? Why? What are they connecting to? You roll them, and your phone automatically adds up the total. I find it clever, but I can do second grade math pretty quickly myself. That might have value for a D&D nerd who needs to roll 40 dice at once. but I have a feeling they get prohibitively expensive and annoying to set up if you have that many. Look up chindogu, it's the Japanese art of the unuseless invention. Basically things that might almost work, but effectively don't because they're impractical. Like umbrella golf clubs. I have a whole book dedicated to this. 101 Unuseless Japanese Inventions by Kenji Kawakami, pure gold. My personal favorite chindogu was these little umbrellas that are supposed to protect your shoes from the rain, which you install by drilling holes in the shoes. My favorite is the umbrella that has a clear sheet that covers your whole body, except it doesn't seem useless at all to someone living in a country known for having lots and lots of rain, and where the rain never comes straight down. If I ever see one in a shop, I'm buying it. I care far more about not being cold and wet all day than I do about what strangers might think of it. Edit. I don't know what kind of coats you lot are wearing, but generally coats don't keep your entire body dry. Those old vibrating belts that you would put around your waist to help with losing weight. That's my first memory of thinking something was a ploy to take money from people through useless gimmicks. Good old jigglers. Because jiggling fat cells makes them go away, I guess. Just like having something swirl your hips around does, like the Hawaii chair. It reminds me of a shameful moment when I bought a sort of tent that you would sit in with only the head emerging from the top. The tent acts as a sauna. Well, it kind of works, but I still hear the laughter of my wife gently mocking me the few times I used it in the living room. She even took pictures. Shame, shame, shame. These refrigerators with Bluetooth and Pandora. Why? You can now buy an oven with a camera in it, so you don't have get up and check it point. Just look via an app on your phone. I could be interested in that one, though. I have to open my oven to get a decent idea at the color of stuff I'm baking right now, which lets heat/steam out and can affect the baking. If I could get a better image quality without opening the oven at all, it'd be a pretty solid improvement. I bake macarons. Highly temperamental. This would be so good for those. Pretty much anything in the Sky Mall catalog. A $600 end table shaped like a sumo wrestler? I'll take 4. Or kitchen gadgets that are specific to one food/ingredient. That is the banana slicer, the taco proper, pizza shears, the egg cooker, etc. There was a TV show on True TV called World's Dumbest, and each episode would be just a collection of different videos with celebrities reacting to them. They had World's Dumbest Inventions, where they showed off dumb crap. I think the worst was a plastic thing sort of shaped like a dog, so if your dog wouldn't stop humping things, it had a designated thing to hump. So someone would buy it for the dog. Cocktail napkins. They completely fail at their purpose. It doesn't keep the bar dry. They turn into a wet pile of crap in just a few minutes. They stick to the bottom of whatever you're drinking, unless, like a troglodyte, you put a bunch of salt on it. Also, in some locations, they just blow the frick away. Next time you see someone open a bunch of cocktail napkins, think to yourself, 100% of that will be thrown in the dump after unsatisfactorily fulfilling their mission. Coasters, on the other hand, are superior in almost every way. Keeps the bar dry, reusable, collectible, I guess. Can put the bar's name on it, won't blow away, won't soak. Oh, maybe you can't stuff them inside the neck of a beer, but I don't want people doing that with cocktail napkins anyways. Found the shell who works for Big Coaster. The salad fork. I don't see why shorter makes it better. The toilet sloping 13 degrees downwards, making it painful to sit on for more than a few minutes. The Dairy Queen restaurant in my town did this with their booths. That place was booming every day, since it was a block away from the biggest high school in the city and 2 blocks from our college. Apparently some jack-off manager thought sloped benches in the booths would make people leave the restaurant quicker. To his credit, it worked. However, they didn't come back. It went from being one of the busiest restaurants in town to out of business within a few months. It's now a great pizza place. Did the pizza place slope the bench back? They did not use DQ's tables. They have wooden booths that are surprisingly comfortable. I worked at one place where they just removed all the stall doors to keep people from taking breaks in the bathroom. If you had to crap, you were forced to do it in plain view of anyone who entered the bathroom. That should be illegal. That probably is illegal. The DVD rewinder? I remember those being sold, and people being convinced that it lengthens the life of the DVD by running it backwards. Tell that to my ruined copy of Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Beer foamer. So that your beer has a nice foamy head, like beer on TV. Came across it at a yard sale, still in the original packaging, lol. The electric hammer, so you don't have to swing it. I thought it was just something The Simpsons made up for an episode. So it's real? AirPod wires to never lose them. Want to spend an enormous amount of money to flex your silly AirPods, but don't want to risk losing them? Just buy these nifty strings. Never seen before technology. Socks for hands. Aren't these mittens? Nope, literally socks for your hands. Wait till you hear about foot gloves. This'll get buried, but it's an invention that 8-year-old me came up with for a school project. It was a giant tape player that you kept in the fridge and put your milk on. The weight of the milk would trigger the play button, playing an audio recording saying you do not need to buy milk. Then, when the milk was running low, it would be too light to hit the play button and the absence of the audio would indicate that it's time to buy milk. All that including hitting the stop and rewind buttons almost every time you put the milk away for something a person could easily see. That's an awesome invention. It would be easy to rig. At first I thought the constant talking would bug me, but then I realized we go through a gallon of milk every 3 days at most in my house. Between 2 kids and 2 adults that drink milk and cook, milk is in short supply. I'd appreciate the tape recorder, rather than having a fridge that shuts off and alerts the cops when the Wi-Fi drops. Anything 5-minute crafts has cooked up. Edit. This is the first time this has ever happened, so I've earned this right. Ahem, thank you for the gold, kind stranger. Ah yes, the man-spreading chair. The pet rock. So useless and yet it made millions of dollars. Genius if you ask me. I remember seeing big pens marketed specifically for women. Why the butts would you gender a pen? A protective case for the Nokia 3310, Nokia brick. To be fair, I think we just thought they looked cool. Automatic soap dispenser. The marketing campaign said there are so many germs on top of a push-down dispenser that you shouldn't touch it and use the automatic version instead. It didn't seem to matter that immediately after touching the top of the dispenser you wash your hands. Eyelashes for cars. It's ugly and a waste of money. Eggs. Apparently without it, I'd be peeling eggs all day.